Hi, I'm Doug Keck. This is an EWTN multimedia bookmark brief, talking with Robert Orlando, the writer-director of a wonderful documentary, The Divine Plan, Ronald Reagan, John Paul II, and the dramatic end of the Cold War. So what is this about, and what's different about it, Robert?
Well, this was, to me, the D-Day of our generation, the legacy of history for the second half of the 20th century. Greatest story ever told. Two men who saw what was coming in the Soviet Union and agreed, after they had near-death experiences through assassination, that they would unify together with the CIA and other support systems and bring down the Berlin Wall.
Did the story change for you as you researched it and did the interviews?
It did, because frankly, I didn't know this much about John Paul II, and what I loved about him, he was so grounded. And Ronald Reagan the same. They applied their faith to their real lives, and I'm not someone who lives with dualities well, like it's all up there, it's all down here. But I thought for both of them, they both took their faith to the streets. They weren't hyper political about it, but they understood faith as something you demonstrate. It's the symbolic act you do. And they both understood that well. And being actors, they had practiced it. I always say Ronald Reagan made 80 films. He memorized his lines. He hit his marks, 80 films. That's not something you can make up on the spot once you become a political figure.
Right, it was good in King's Row, I must say. One of the great films for him to be in.
Not Bonzo.
No. I'd like to think of King's Row. Even Santa Fe Trail with Errol Flynn, I liked him in. But so when you were making this documentary, stylistically, did you try and do something a little different than the standard documentary to have a broader appeal?
I did. The entire world now, especially the youth, has moved toward graphical, shorter bits, multimedia, and graphical use and style. It's just part of, it's almost like the human being is becoming part of the digital empire, if you will. So I knew to get their attention, I'd have to go. And that actually played out with real audiences. Young people would come up to me and say, I really appreciate how you did the graphic style. So it was almost like a little bit of a play on the Russian propaganda with the reds and blacks, and play with that harsh look at the Russian propaganda, but also more like a superhero look at these two mythical figures.
Do you think there's a deficit of understanding of this relationship for a lot of younger people today?
I do, and one of the things that I think the modern world is doing, and I think it is a neo-Marxist creep still coming back into the culture, is they undermine your legacy. Once you can't trust, it's almost like undermining your family. If you can't trust that you come from good stock, good roots, people who meant well, people of faith, or good faith at least, even though as imperfect as they were. If you can't think of the United States as that system, you just undermine the first thing. So I'm also trying to help people say, like, that's not the correct view of the United States. We're imperfect for sure, but all day long to hear that we're colonizers, World War II was an imperial effort, and miss moments like this. Secondly, I actually did this during the Trump election. So I felt the cynicism was like just in the air. It was the white noise of the air.
Right.
And I thought, if you brought together this story and shared it with others, if someone could find something cynical about this willingness, this effort to pull people out of poverty and away from gunpoint and bring down walls, I mean, then there's nothing else I could offer you.
It also helps us in days when things look tough, that there is a divine plan, and that's the documentary. Ronald Reagan, John Paul II, the dramatic end of the Cold War. There's also a companion book as well you did with Paul Kengor, both available through the EWTN Religious Catalog, and you can check that out, EWTNRC.com. Thank you, Robert Orlando, writer and director of this wonderful documentary. I'm Doug Keck. This has been a Bookmark Brief. We'll catch you next time.